Hello everyone, my name is Mrs. Pyroclastic, and today I'm going to show you an experiment that will really blow your top. It's magnificent. Excuse the pun. For this experiment, you will need these supplies. I take something and cover up the table. I prefer the Sunday Funnies. Oh, sorry. I sometimes get lost in them. I take a washcloth or a napkin or something to wipe up spills if I have any. Water. Salt. And oil. This is vegetable oil, but you can use olive oil or any kind of oil. And a clear glass. To do this experiment, you take your clear glass and you pour the water. The water represents air. Then you take the oil, vegetable oil in my case, and you pour some of it in. The oil is lighter than the water, and so it rises to the top. The oil is representing magma. Salt is heavier than water and oil. So if I put some in, I think I need to shake it a bit. This silly salt. Oh dear, this salt. The salt will trap some of the oil underneath it and bring it to the bottom. So let's watch closely as the oil erupts out from underneath the salt. Since the salt is heavier than both the oil and the water, the oil wants to come out of the salt, so it's building up pressure and just keeps coming up with the pressure, and it's erupting with bubbles. If you could jump into a time travel machine and travel 40,000 years back in time, you would witness the birth of this beautiful volcanic mountain. Native Americans called this mountain Fire Mountain, and it wasn't until 1792 that it was given its current name by George Vancouver. This is Mount St. Helens. Mount St. Helens has been nicknamed the Mount Fuji of the U.S. because of its perfect dome shape, like Mount Fuji in Japan. Mount St. Helens is part of the Cascade Range. But more importantly, it is part of the Pacific Ring of Fire. This is a picture of the Pacific Ring of Fire that I drew. The Pacific Ring of Fire isn't really a ring at all. It's really an area that sort of forms a ring of major seismic and volcanic activity. Until a series of 2,000 earthquakes, with one measuring 5.1 on the Richter scale, that began on March 20th, 1980, the mountain was considered fairly dormant, even though eruptions had been recorded into late 1800s. Dormant means sleeping. But in March, these 2,000 earthquakes began to wake up the mountain. Scientists began to record a bulge or plug that grew on the northeast side of the mountain 2 feet per day. Later, it began to grow by 7 feet per day. And scientists recommended that all campers, hikers, lodge owners, and other people in the area clear out. but a couple people refused to leave. One of those people was 83-year-old Harry Truman. Harry Truman lived on a lake about here, and he owned a lodge where people could come to stay. Harry Truman had lived 50 years on Spirit Lake. On May 18th, 1980, 8:32 a.m., there was a pyroclastic explosion. Instead of lava, there is ash, stone, and gas in the pyroclastic explosion. This pyroclastic explosion went 80,000 feet into the air for the next 9 hours. The blast reached temperatures of 800 degrees Celsius. That's really hot. The mountain was 9,677 feet before the blast and 8,363 feet after. The crater that formed was 1.5 miles wide. That's huge! The blast killed everything in a 6-mile radius. 57 people were killed, including Harry Truman and a geologist named David Johnson, who was on a ridge about over here, 6 miles northwest of the mountain. That's really far away. This ridge was later named Johnston Ridge. The blast leveled 40,000 acres of timber, tossing trees like matchsticks. The largest mudslide in recorded history was caused, and it formed a 300-foot wave. It then ran down the North and South Toutle rivers, carrying houses, trees, and bridges all over. People weren't the only living things killed in the eruption. An estimated 200 bears were killed, along with lots of other animals like elk, deer, mountain lions, mountain goats, and birds. Some people say it was like 50 atomic bombs went off all at once. The ash cloud caused some parts of central and eastern Washington to go pitch black. The ash reached the East Coast in just 3 days and eventually traveled all around the world. It was dangerous to breathe ash, but also just caused a mess. It blocked roads 1 meter deep in spots. That's really deep. Scientists estimated that ash and rock and mud, or tephra as they call it, was 150 feet deep around the volcano. President Ronald Reagan and Congress designated 110,000 acres to be preserved as the Mount St. Helens National Monument for scientists to study and the public to possibly enjoy one day. Many people thought nothing would ever grow at the mountain, but things did. Pocket gophers, which look a lot like this little guy here, he's really a dog, but they look a lot like him, where most of them were hibernating when the blast came, and when they woke up in the spring, they burrowed up, bringing the good soil with them to the top of the tephra. And they also brought seeds so that there new plants could grow. The mountain formed over 150 new lakes and ponds. And there were new eruptions in 2004 and 2009. Now scientists monitor seismic eruptions, gas emissions, temperatures, how much water there is around the volcano, and a bunch of other things. After the eruptions, foresters immediately began planting trees, and they replanted most of the forest. Even people began to start climbing up the mountain again. Ah! Help me! Grab my pickaxe! They saw a beautiful view of Mount Rainier in the distance. And then they decided down the glaciers. I don't know if I would want to climb it though, but maybe it would be pretty safe because scientists are monitoring seismic disturbances and other eruptions and all the different things that the mountain does. I'd probably get a pretty good warning if the mountain is going to explode again. Bye-bye. I think we're going to go slide down the mountain again. Hello, it's Mrs. Pyroclastic again, and I'm going to show you what happens inside a volcano when gas builds up inside a volcano plug. For this experiment, you're going to need baking soda and vinegar. So I'm going to do it. First, I'm going to pour in some baking soda. Then I'm going to pour in a drop of vinegar. Whoa! And now the cork pops up because the baking soda and vinegar form carbon dioxide, which builds up inside the test tube, which forms so much pressure that it can't hold it any longer, and pop! The cork blows off. This is a song about Mount St. Helens called Mount St. Helens, and this song is by Billy Jonas. And I'm going to play it for you on my ukulele and also sing it. So here it goes. She got mad and lost her head. Old St. Helens, skies turned black and the trees fell dead. Old St. Helens, cleanup crews were working hard. Old St. pyroclastic again, and I'm going to show you another experiment. For this experiment, you're going to need wax, sand, cold water, and boiling water. So, first I put the wax in. The wax represents lava. Now, you can use any sort of wax, but preferably red wax because it looks a lot like lava. Then you're going to take the sand, which represents the ground or the mountain's rock, and pour it in, completely covering the wax. Now I'm going to take the cold water I have here and pour it over that. All the way to there. Now, I'm going to turn off this and slide this here. Because the Earth's center is boiling, I have to get this boiling. So I'm going to put the bottom of this in so that the magma gets boiling, and it should start erupting quite soon.
It's erupting. Oh, awesome. Look at that, Daddy.
Yeah, see?
It looks like a volcano erupting.
Don't get too close, Elena.
I'm not.
Wow, look at it go, guys.
Wow!
That's cool, actually. Look at it erupting out of there. Neat. It did it finally. It just had to get really hot.
Now that I've told you a little bit about St. Helens, it's time to blow this baby up. For this experiment, I'm going to use baking soda, vinegar, and for effects, some ash and a cloud. I'm also going to use a towel in case of spills. So let's pour this in. The ash cloud went 80,000 feet into the air. And acres of trees were wiped out. The trees probably looked like this from the air after the eruption. The eruption was a pyroclastic eruption, which means there was no lava, but there was ash, rock, and gas. If you wanted to make a lava eruption, you could just add some red food coloring to the baking soda. Hey, you want to climb this mountain? Sure. Come on, let's go back up. Hey, is this mountain starting to rumble? Ooh, ooh. Help us! Get us out of here! Someone help! Bye-bye. Say bye-bye. Bye-bye. Oh. This Mount St. Helens project is making me tired. It took me all day. That's why I'm in my PJs. Footies. I love footies. Do you like them? I'm going to give credit to the books I read to help me get all the information. This one is called Volcanoes, and it's by James Carson. This is The Magic School Bus, Inside the Earth by Joanna Cole, and illustrated by Bruce Deegan. This is another Magic School Bus, and it's Blows Its Top, a book about volcanoes. And it's by Joanna Cole and Bruce Dagan again. This is Volcanoes and Earthquakes. It's an eyewitness book. This is Journey to the Center of the Earth. And it's by, where did they put those authors? Written by Nicholas Harris. This is Mount St. Helens. The volcano explodes. It's one of the most important ones that gave me a lot of information. And I have something to show you. This is the photographs of the volcano before and after it happened. So this is before, and it looks like it's getting darker. And then it's starting to explode. It's getting bigger. That kind of burst over there. Pow! Oh, that's the end of those pictures. And then this is volcanoes. The eruption and healing of Mount St. Helens. This is probably the most helpful one. And it looks like you've got a lot.
Who was it written by?
Oh, I forgot that. Sorry. And should be in here. It's written by Patricia Luber. Two weeks later, the temperatures in the pumice were still 780 degrees. That's a lot. Well, it's very hot. Mount St. Helens was 1,200 feet shorter than it had been that morning. That's shorter. A lot shorter. In 1908, St. Helens erupted 6 more times. Some of the survivors, animal survivors are chipmunks, white-footed deer mice, red squirrels, pocket gophers, ants, springtails, mites, fish, frogs, salamanders, crayfish, snakes, many water insects, bacteria, and fungi. So a lot of things survived. Is that all I put in? Oh no. Fireweed was one of the first plants to come up after the eruption. That's all I have. Yep, so that's it. Bye-bye.